Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakakodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. So this lesson is going to go into the reality of everything, and what I mean by that is people, who are not used to, going through anything bad for that matter. They're finally feeling the pinch, as rationing in these supermarkets is happening. The average, citizen, whether in the UK, over there in Europe, or, or here in Babylon the Great, they're not living as good as they used to, because of this inflation going on. You know what I'm saying? And these things are going to lead to, insurrections. All right, because if people want their life back, they want normalcy back, which is not coming back, man. We understand that this is leading to the RFID microchip, all right, being implanted into this society. All right, and that's what Esau's solution is going to be. But it says food collapse, UK supermarkets rationing vegetables as food shortages worsen. All right, food shortages are worsening, which we understand this is something being orchestrated. You know what I'm saying? The past couple the past year or so, Esau's been destroying the food sources, the food warehouses that has been being burned down. There was a report last year, I want to say, how Esau is pretty much dumping, avocados. All right, avocados is being dumped. Our cattle was being, put to death. So what was being done here? Esau, was pretty much orchestrating the famine. Ultimately, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai is using his sword, Esau, to orchestrate, the famine, which is his word. The article says right here, supermarkets in the United Kingdom, such as Aldi, Morrison's, Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Lidl, have begun rationing vegetables that customers can buy. But this appears to be a ploy to normalize food shortages, according to some pundits. We understand how Esau works. I always say, how these damn devils, always work through gradualism. It's like not me always saying it, but I'll bring it up from time to time. How Esau works through gradualism, get these people, used to it, and then eventually it'll become part of their lives. But let me get to this article. And this video right here is also the elder brother from Vegas, who uploaded a video on the same thing, pretty much, and I'll include that at the end of the video, Lord willing. But let's go to the scriptures. I want to go to the beginning, 2nd Ezra 15 and verse. I'm gonna start from 1, matter of fact. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord." You see, prophecy here is the key word, because at the end of the day, prophecy is what's going to stand. The Lord Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai gave his word to his servants, the prophets, to speak the words unto his people, whether they hear or forbear it, because at the end of the day, prophecy will be fulfilled, and we want to make sure that we're on the right side of prophecy and not on the left. Verse 2, it says, "And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true," being that they're going to happen, whether you believe it or not. "Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee," the incredulity, unbelief. All right, because when they speak against you, that means that they don't really believe that what you're saying is going to happen. Therefore, they're mocking you and scoffing. But don't let that, shake you up. Fear not the imaginations, man. Because eventually those scoffers, those mockers, they're going to find themselves in the midst of, the prophecy that you were bringing out to them. They're going to find themselves in the midst of a famine. They'll find themselves in the midst of a race war. And then it's going to come to mind that, damn, that guy was saying, those guys on the street corners were saying that, these things are going to happen. And they're going to be so ashamed. All right. Verse 4, "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." You see? All the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. You Israelites out there that are unfaithful, you hear these words, you think this is a joke, you think this is a game. So therefore, you're going to die in your unfaithfulness, man. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua is not playing. Verse 5, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So these plagues that you see being done, right now is ultimately of the Lord. And he's using Esau on the left-hand side to do so. All right, the so-called white man is the Lord's whipping stick, is his sword. And he's going to be used to punish the world, man. And then when the Lord don't need Esau no more, he's going to do away with him, But it says, verse 6, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled right now. And right now, as you see, things getting worse, you see people getting bolder and bolder in their wickedness, So that shows that we got to be at the end. As judgment is being set up, famine is being set up, just everything is just being set up. People are being wicked, man. Wicked than ever. As if, things is not happening. And that's why scripture says, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them, because people ain't watching. They're in that peace and safety spirit, consumed in their wickedness. All kinds of sodomy here, all kinds of debauchery. So they're going, their minds are going to be on that. And then when all hell breaks loose, it's going to hit them suddenly. When I jump down here, when this is exactly what these things are leading to, the uproars of the people. People just, losing their minds out here. 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against one another, and swords in their hands, And this is exactly what came to mind when I saw, rationing. When you rationing food to people and it's not enough for their families, what you think they're going to do? And they're going to get it how they can, man. All right, this is not enough to feed my family. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So people are going to pretty much go get enough to feed their family. It's just many mainstream media commentators believe the food rationing was brought about by Brexit, the UK's withdrawal from the European Union that took effect in January 2020. However, Max Lauvo of SHTF Plan thinks this reason makes little sense. This is because the bulk of the UK's vegetables come from either Morocco or domestic sources, the latter depending on the weather. Ultimately, we know that this is Esau's plan. This is Esau, pulling the strings, to cause this. Because at the end of the day, he wants people to be dependent on him, rationing food. And this is what the New World Order is, them rationing food to you. You gotta implant yourself with a chip, and you gotta go to them for food, and get your daily ration, like they show you in the movies. You go get your daily ration, you come back home, you barely got enough to feed your family. Okay? It says, both of these are advantageous for the public to believe regarding the plans to install a New World Order totalitarian slave system using climate change as a scapegoat, remarks Slavo. Okay? And that's exactly what it is. This is Esau New World Order plan. Just to get these people used to rationing. And just like, Klaus Schwab said, you will own nothing, all right, and be happy. It says, Ireland has been affected too, so pretty much our enemies are feeling it, the so-called white people from the European nations, and also here in Babylon the Great, they're also feeling, the effects of, the judgments or the plagues of Babylon the Great. Ireland has been affected too. Plus, we're only 5 months removed from France and other European Union nations, the beast, facing their own catastrophic food shortages. That is supposing there are real shortages, not just psyop nonsense like the toilet paper fiasco at the beginning of the pandemic. One way or another, they have been engineered. Okay, and then it says, globalists using food to enslave the population. And I believe I made a lesson maybe a week or two ago about Esau. I mentioned in there, not to glorify what I'm saying, I'm just saying the article that I brought out had said something like this, wherein pretty much Esau is using the food and the resources to control the people, and this is exactly what he's doing. Because if you control the food, then you might as well control, the people. Because food is a big motivator, all right, of a people, man. Because people don't want to starve. Matter of fact, let's get that scripture real quick, because the scriptures, cover it all. In the book of Lamentation chapter 4 and verse 9, it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field, And it's well known fact that nobody want to die of hunger, because dying of hunger, that's a slow process. You don't just starve out to death and boom, you're done. No, that's like, if I'm not mistaken, your body could go 2 months without food, pretty much surviving on water. All right. I have to look that up. It's been a minute since I actually researched that. But I think it's 2 months that your body can go without food and pretty much surviving on water. Okay. It says 2nd Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, people going to take matters into their own hands, man, because people are already fed up right now. People are already fed up right now with, the powers that be, what's going on, the inflation. My life ain't good. My life ain't good no more. The money I'm making ain't well enough no more. Why? Because of the inflation. So people are eventually going to take matters into their own hand. All right, your governors, your president, the mayors ain't going to be a voice to the people no more. It's lucky. So like I was saying, people are going to take matters into their own hands, invading one another, getting up on one another just, survive, looking for resources. Once again, you see it in these movies and these shows where, it's an apocalypse or the end of the world, should I say, and pretty much, if a person see, all right, food or somebody doing well off, what you think they're going to do? What do? They go and set that person up so that they can take what they have. All right. It says, I'm going to read verse 16 again. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, it's going to be in their power. Different militias, driving around, doing their own thing. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Checkpoints, because martial law is going to be happening too. All right, martial law is going to be here in the streets of America because of the chaos. And these are things being that you're being warned of, man. All right, you see brothers out there preaching the word, and the people just walking by like everything is okay. All right, but everything is not okay. Things are getting worse, whether you see it or not. Things are getting way worse, and it's gonna be bad out here. Verse 18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, and men shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see, so friends are going to become enemies. All right, brothers are going to become enemies. Sisters are going to become enemies against each other, man. All right, and that's the time. And that's the time that we're heading into. Here it is right here. It says globalists using food to enslave the population. Analysts have echoed this speculation and have blamed government worldwide for intentionally creating these shortages. On the other side of the fence, authorities are pointing their fingers at whatever else they can to convince that enslavement and their salvation are the only way. In one instance, and if you can receive it, this is pretty much Esau establishing his new world order, okay? Because this is the means, or this is the steps toward the MOTB, the Charagma, or which will be used to enslave, those that take it, because we understand that the elect is not going to take, the mark of the beast, but the non-elect will take it. It says in one instance, they claimed that the Russia-Ukraine conflict was behind skyrocketing costs of producing, harvesting, and transporting all crops. The MSM has conditioned people's mind that the rising cost of oil Gas and crops were caused by the fertilizer shortage, likewise intentionally created. Interestingly, people right in the middle of the war zone in Ukraine are not worried about the shortage of tomatoes. A stark difference compared to the UK situation. So everything is just all jacked up, man. Slocky. Everything is all jacked up. People are confused at what's going on, but hey, these are the times that we're living in. Man, Salaki. These are the times that we're living in, man. We're ultimately living in the times of our the fall of our enemies, right? And I got scriptures right here. Sirach 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemies. Alright, so those of us in this truth, that know what's going on, we know that what we're witnessing is the fall of our enemies, man. Alright, the so-called white man is literally on his way out of rulership. And we understand who's up next. 2nd Ezra 6:9. Alright, because Esau had his time to rule, now it's our turn. Also, like in the Tobit. 2nd Ezra 6:9. It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the end of this age, or the end of the heathen age. When you go back to Daniel the 7th chapter, 4 great beasts represents, the 4 great or major empires that would rule. And then after those empires, Yahushua would get his kingdom, which is Jacob, because Yahushua is a Judite. Alright, he's an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. He's getting ready to establish the throne of David here on earth. And that's going to be, where Israel get their rest. You know what I'm saying? And, these heathens, they're going to be subject to us, man. Alright, so what we see going on right now is the fall of our enemies. This is the book of Deuteronomy 30:7. It says, and the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies. See? The curses that we suffered, and we're still under the curses. We have not been delivered out of it yet. We're still under it. But what we're witnessing is the tables being turned. And it's gonna ultimately be turned when we're in the kingdom, to where we're on the top and they're on the bottom. It says, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. These Edomites. Mainly these Edomites. All the heathen nations had a hand. Alright, and bringing us down and keeping us down. But the ones that were at the top of it, were these Edomites, man. Now they're suffering. Alright. Now they're going through hell that we went through and we go through every day. They're pretty much on our level now, in terms of, position in this world. And that's a damn shame. Because you being in your own kingdom, and you suffering in your own kingdom, that shows you that you're a 2-time loser. But, like I explained earlier, we're at the end of their kingdom, so they're falling. And we're seeing the curses be put upon them. And call all Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because that's a sign of us getting ready to, get out of here, Lord willing. Alright, so Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakagodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, I say Shalom.
In the UK is forcing some supermarkets to ration fruits and vegetables. And as CTV's Vanessa Lee tells us, British consumers are dealing with fallout from a combination of factors.
We've been to a couple of different supermarkets today, and there are a lot of empty shelves, a lot of signs that say temporarily out of stock. And so that is why more or less every grocery chain here has put limits in place. The one that we went to today, called Aldi, puts a limit on the number of cucumbers and tomatoes and peppers that people can buy. So it's a limit of 3 per customer, and the sign says it's so that there is enough to go around for everyone. And really, and at other grocery stores, it's not just the 3 items I just mentioned, but there's also raspberries that are in short supply, so they're limiting those, as well as bagged salad and cauliflower as well. And there are a couple of reasons for this. The first one that you mentioned is weather. So the UK gets a lot of its produce from Morocco and Spain, which has been hit with adverse weather. everything from drought to heavy rain and even a cold snap. It was actually snowing in Morocco yesterday. And Spain has also been hit hard, and its tomato crop is 20% smaller than it was last year. And this combined with another issue, because there's a lot of produce that is grown here in the UK as well, but there are local farmers who didn't grow as much this year because of high energy costs. They use the heated greenhouses, and because of skyrocketing costs, they did not grow as much, and so that is why we are seeing this shortage at the supermarket.
And now let's turn to the UK. 4 million children are going hungry in Britain. They're suffering what's called food insecurity. They're skipping meals or not eating for a whole day. This is twice the number of children compared to just a year ago. And this is thanks to Britain's cost of living crisis. It is hurting the poor the most. Food inflation was over 17% last month. That's the highest level ever recorded in the UK. There's a serious shortage of fresh vegetables. Headlines talk about a salad crisis and a pizza crisis, which may make it sound less severe than it is. A record number of people are surviving on food banks. London plans to start something like India's midday meal scheme. But what about the rest of the country? What is the UK government doing to tackle this hunger crisis? Our next report has the details.
More British children are going hungry than ever before. 4 million children are experiencing food insecurity. They come from the UK's poorest households, households where people are skipping meals to make ends meet. A new report says that about 22% of UK households faced food insecurity in January. This is up from 12% a year ago, almost double. The numbers are even worse for households with children. About a quarter of these face food insecurity. But why are British children starving? The simple answer is the cost of living crisis. The war in Ukraine has caused the prices of essentials like food and energy to go up. Wages haven't increased proportionally, so people have been cutting down on food to make ends meet. They try and limit their intake to feed their children.
Possibly I wouldn't be eating tonight. My children would be able to eat, but I wouldn't be able to eat, and maybe I won't be able to eat for a few days because the food that I'd put on my plate, I'd be putting on my kids' plate instead, because I'd rather them eat, because they've got school and they've got their futures ahead of them.
But sometimes even that isn't enough. There's also the recent fresh food shortage. Supermarkets are rationing vegetables due to a shortage in supplies. London blames the shortage on adverse weather in southern Europe, but Europe says it is suffering no shortages. In the UK, prices of fruits and vegetables have gone up, so people have had to cut down on healthy food and are buying junk instead. The cost of a nutritious meal has gone up.
To be honest, I'm going for the cheapest goods at the moment because of the inflation and the cost of living. But yeah, it's very scary. Let's hope it put right quite soon.
And what's the government doing to feed British children? Nothing new yet. Last year, they extended a scheme to provide free breakfast to some school children. But civil society groups are pushing for universal free school meals. This means all school children should be provided with free meals at school, something like India's midday meal scheme. London's Mayor Sadiq Khan plans to roll out free meals to all primary school students. It's scheduled to start from September. It's a one-year emergency measure to address the crisis. Scotland and Wales are planning the same. But all these measures will take time, and the number of hungry children is rising steadily. Unless prices fall and food supplies increase, the UK government is staring at a malnutrition epidemic.